Janet reached out, her hand resting on his forearm. I didn't wake up with regret. I woke up wondering how we're going to survive breakfast without Chrissy noticing that something is different. As if on cue, the door to the second bedroom burst open. Chrissy skipped into the room, her blonde hair a chaotic tangle of bedhead, humming the Yum Yum song at a volume that was definitely too loud for 8 a.m. "Morning, roommates," Chrissy chirped, heading straight for the orange juice. "Ooh, Jack, you're making eggs. And Janet, you look all sparkly. Did we win something at the gala besides that plate of quiches I finished?" Jack and Janet sprang apart, as if they've been caught at a crime scene. "Sparkly?" Janet laughed nervously, smoothing her robe. "It's just the light, Chrissy. New Santa Monica sunshine." "Well, whatever it is, I like it," Chrissy said, taking a huge gulp of juice. "By the way, Jack, you left your tuxedo jacket on the balcony. It looks like a wet penguin. And Mr. Furley was down there looking at it 5 minutes ago." Jack froze. "Furley saw the tuxedo?" "Yeah. He said he didn't know you were into formal penguin wear. He looked suspicious. Well, more suspicious than usual, like he'd just found out his ascot was a knockoff." Chapter 15. The Chrissy Conundrum. Telling Chrissy was supposed to be the easy part. After all, Chrissy was the person who once spent 3 hours trying to find a silent letter in a word by listening to it. But as Jack and Janet sat her down on the sofa later that afternoon, the gravity of the situation became apparent. "Chrissy," Janet began, holding Jack's hand under a cushion. "You know how Jack and I have always been? Just friends?" "Yeah," Chrissy nodded enthusiastically. "The bestest friends. Like peanut butter and more peanut butter." "Well," Jack interjected, "what if the peanut butter decided it really liked the jelly, and they decided to, move into the same jar?" Chrissy stared at them, her eyes wide. "Are you moving?" "Oh no, I can't live here alone." "Who will tell me when the toast is done?" "No, Chrissy, nobody is moving," Janet laughed. We're a couple now. Jack and I are together, in that way." The silence lasted for a full 10 seconds. Then, a slow smile spread across Chrissy's face. "I knew it. I knew it when Jack made that heart-shaped meatloaf last Valentine's Day. I thought it was just a anatomical study. But I knew." She jumped up and threw her arms around both of them. "I'm so happy. This is like a soap opera, but with better food." "But Chrissy," Jack said, his expression becoming serious, "you have to be very careful. If Mr. Furley finds out, he'll think I've been lying to him all this time. He'll think the whole refined persona was a trick." "Which it was," Chrissy pointed out. "Exactly, and he'll evict us. Not just me, but all of us. Because he doesn't allow co-mingling of the genders unless one of them is, well, me." "Oh," Chrissy's face fell. "So I have to lie? But I'm terrible at lying. Remember when I tried to hide that I ate your chocolate and my face turned purple?" "That was because it was grape-flavored chocolate, Chrissy," Janet sighed. "But yes, you have to be our secret agent. Can you do that? For the family?" Chrissy stood up straight and gave a clumsy salute. "Agent Snow, reporting for duty. I will be a tomb. A very pretty, blonde tomb." Chapter 16. The Landlord's Third Eye. Ralph Furley was a man of many talents, none of which were particularly useful, but he did possess a nearly supernatural ability to sense when his tenants were up to something fun. He stood in the hallway outside 304, his ear pressed against the wood, wearing a safari suit that suggested he was hunting big game in the suburbs. He had seen Tripper and Janet coming home in the rain. He had seen the tuxedo, and he had seen a certain spark in Tripper's eye that didn't fit the sensitive artist mold he'd carefully constructed in his head. Knock, knock, knock. Jack opened the door, a dish towel over his shoulder. "Mr. Furley, to what do we owe this safari visit?" Furley marched into the room, his eyes darting around like a pair of caffeinated hummingbirds. "Tripper, I've been thinking. That gala last night, I heard there was a disturbance. A waiter who looked like a certain chef I know." And a man with wet shoes. Wet shoes? Jack laughed, perhaps a bit too loudly. In Santa Monica? In a drought? How absurd. It rained, Tripper. Don't play the fool with me. My brother Bart says the good vibrations in this building have taken a turn toward the scandalous. Janet walked into the room, holding a book. Is everything okay, Mr. Furley? Furley squinted at her. Janet, you look radiant, suspiciously radiant, like a woman who's just discovered a new brand of moisturizer or a new secret. It's just the book, Mr. Furley, Janet said smoothly. A very uplifting biography of a monk, very celibate, very quiet. Suddenly, Chrissy burst out of her room. Hi, Mr. Furley. Don't mind me. I'm just going to the kitchen to not see Jack and Janet kissing. The room went deathly silent. Jack felt his soul leave his body. Janet turned the color of a very ripe beet. Furley's head snapped toward Chrissy. Kissing? Who's kissing? Chrissy's eyes went wide. She looked at Jack, then at Janet, then back at Furley. I meant the monk. In the book, he was kissing his prayer beads, because he loves prayers. Agent Snow out. She turned and ran back into her room, slamming the door. Furley looked at Jack, his lip curling. Uninterested as you claim. Out you go. On your ear. And your ear won't like the sidewalk. He turned on his heel and marched out, his safari suit swishing with indignation. Jack leaned against the door, his forehead resting on the cool wood. Janet walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. We're going to need a bigger lie, Jack. Or a better agent. Jack groaned. Chapter 17. The Larry Dallas Strategy. Larry Dallas was not exactly the person you went to for moral guidance, but when it came to deception, he was a grandmaster. Look, Jack, Larry said, nursing a beer at their kitchen table. Furley's on to you. You can't just act uninterested anymore. You have to be actively interested in someone else, someone who isn't Janet. Jack groaned, rubbing his temples. It's a fake-out, kid. A theatrical masterstroke. We set up a double date. I'll take Janet out, and you take out. Let's see. Fifi. Fifi? Janet asked, leaning against the counter. Who is Fifi? A friend of mine, Larry said with a wink. An actress. We do it at the Regal Beagle. Furley's always there on Friday nights for the singles mingle. He sees you with a gorgeous blonde who isn't Janet. He sees Janet with a stud like me, and boom, his suspicions vanish like a used car warranty. Janet frowned. I don't like it. Why do I have to date you, Larry? Because, Larry said, puffing out his chest, I'm the only one Furley actually believes is a threat to the female population. If you're with me, he'll think you've finally developed taste. Jack looked at Janet. He saw the doubt in her eyes, but he also saw the fear of losing their home. Maybe he's right. January. It's just one night. We act our hearts out, and then we come home and laugh about it. The night of the singles mingle arrived. The Regal Beagle was packed with people wearing too much polyester and hopeful expressions. Furley was in his element, wearing a suit that was a shade of purple, usually reserved for royalty or high-end eggplants. Jack was sitting at a corner table with Fifi. Fifi was enthusiastic. She was draped over him like a silk scarf, laughing at jokes he hadn't even finished. Oh, Jack, Fifi squealed, loud enough for Furley to hear from across the room. You're so masculine. Tell me again about that time you wrestled the soufflé. Across the bar, Larry was whispering into Janet's ear. Janet was doing her best to look charmed, but her eyes kept darting back to Jack and the blonde woman currently trying to feed him a maraschino cherry. Janet, baby, Larry murmured. Stop looking at him. You're supposed to be mesmerized by my aura. Try to giggle or something. Janet managed a brittle laugh. Oh, Larry, you're so consistent. Furley was circling the bar like a shark. He paused near Jack's table, adjusting his ascot. Tripper, I see you're busy. Very busy. And who is this vibrant young lady? This is Fifi, Mr. Furley, Jack said, his smile feeling like it was held up by staples. She's a student of the culinary arts. We were just discussing. Basting. Basting, Furley mused, his eyes narrowing. And Janet? She seems to have found a companion as well. He looked over at Larry and Janet. Larry had his arm draped casually over the back of Janet's chair. Jack felt a surge of jealousy so sharp it nearly made him choke on his beer. He wanted to jump up, knock Larry's arm away, and tell Furley exactly where he could put his safari suit. But he didn't. He forced himself to stay seated. Yes, Jack said, his voice tight. Larry and Janet are quite a pair, aren't they? Chapter 18. Breaking Point. The acting was going well, until Larry decided to improve the performance. Come on, Janet, Larry whispered. We need a finale. Something to really seal the deal. Give me a kiss. Just a little one. No way, Larry, Janet hissed, pulling back. Furley's watching. He's literally 2 feet away. If you don't do something romantic, he'll know it's a fake. Just on the cheek or the nose. Janet hesitated. She saw Furley leaning in, practically smelling the air for a lie. She closed her eyes and leaned in toward Larry's cheek. But at that exact moment, Jack had had enough. That's it, Jack shouted, slamming his beer down on the table. The noise silenced the entire bar. Fifi fell backward in surprise. Furley jumped. Larry and Janet froze. Jack marched across the floor. He didn't look refined. He didn't look like a sensitive artist. He looked like a man who had reached his absolute limit. Tripper, Furley stammered. What's the meaning of this outburst? Jack ignored him. He walked straight up to Larry, grabbed him by the lapels, and lifted him slightly. Larry, if you touch her again, I don't care if we're evicted or if I'm banned from every Regal Beagle in the state. I will turn you into a used car kebab. Jack, Janet gasped, standing up. Jack turned to her, his eyes blazing. I can't do it. January, I can't watch you with him. I can't watch you with anyone. I don't care about the lie. I don't care about the apartment. He turned back to Furley, who was staring with his mouth open. Mr. Furley, you want the truth? Here it is. I'm not who you think I am. I'm a chef. I'm a roommate. And I'm in love with Janet Wood. We've been lying to you, and I'm sorry, but I'm done.